Leave your ego at the door and get ready to be raw. This is Strength to Overcome, where real men find their strength in weakness. All right, guys, welcome back to the Strength to Overcome podcast. I'm Ryan here with my co-host Matt. This is episode 15, and we're excited to be back with you. Matt, how you doing, brother?
Well, let's be honest, mate. It's been an absolute crap show the last couple of weeks, and I'm excited to be here because every time I get on here and go through what's happening and try and share with people, I actually walk away from this feeling rather rejuvenated. So I'm absolutely thrilled to be here. I know it's been a couple of tough weeks for you too, so let me throw it back in your end. How are you? Give me the update on baby
Yeah, it's like
Callan
our
and what's happening there.
weekly check-in time, right? So things are going here. We're still on that kind of 3 hour eating, eat, sleep, feed loop that we were talking about last time. His wake windows are getting a little bit longer to where we're having to keep him up a little bit, play with him a little bit, keep him entertained for a short period of time, and then get him back to sleep. So other than that, he's still kind of on that little 3 hour loop schedule that we've been working on. But so it still kind of feels like a whole lot of waiting around, but I guess that's all going to change at some point here as we keep moving along, right?
Well, it does, and I think, my recollection of starting out, being a dad was when I was in California, and of course, we knew we were leaving California. I'd already given notice at my job, and so we knew we were, heading out and starting off, a new life in Florida, and so we ended up flying across the country with an 8-week-old baby, and so, our lives were just chaos. We were packing stuff up, we were putting it in a bunch of these U-Haul boxes out front of our apartment there. And, Heather was doing her part. I was still working, trying to finish off a big month and, leave my club and my team in a good place. And so it was just absolute madness until we got on the plane. And then it was this deep breath of, okay, here we go, right? So we had a lot happening. And it sounds like you guys are in the complete opposite boat
Yeah.
where, it's almost like nothing's happening. So walk me through a little bit of that and how you're coping with that, because I know you like to be active in some way, shape, or form, physically and mentally stimulated, right?
Yeah, yeah. So that's been a little bit tough just because, I've been basically sitting around the house, trying to get out, walk the dogs a little bit, and keep that routine going with getting the dogs walked around the neighborhood just to get out and about, and still making my grocery runs to Costco and Winn-Dixie and all that to get groceries for the family. But other than that, it's a whole lot of sitting around and just kind of hanging out. So we're just kind of pushing through that, and it's like I said, it's kind of like a waiting game right now.
Are you handling that okay? I know that, there's that initial excitement, when baby comes, and then there's this, small drop off, not in love or, excitement, but there's just this, oh, wow, now I'm in a new groove. I've got, sleep deprivation. I've got someone else to consider in the house. I've got emotions of my own. I've got the baby's emotions and, the needs of my wife as well. How are you coping with all that?
I'd say not so great right now, but you're right. That's kind of all lumped in together. So it's a mix between like boredom and overwhelm all in one day's time, right? So as the day passes and goes by, it's like oscillating between complete boredom and then complete overwhelm at the same time with everything to deal with.
So how does it show up for you guys? Does it show up in, do you get short? Do you get edgy? Do you, snap? Like, how does it show up for you as you try and work through a lot of the material we've been working through together and in books and such? How do you handle that now? Or how have you best handled it and how have you worst handled it? Give me a couple of examples of times you maybe got it right and maybe a time you got it wrong.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it kind of just shows up as general melancholy and kind of the shut down attitude where, I kind of retreat into myself and, just kind of get a little bit sad about things in general. So that's kind of how my default is to handle it. The good times we've handled, pretty well with taking care of his needs and my wife's needs and that sort of thing. But, like I said, it's almost like an oscillating, was it a teeter-totter back and forth between holy crap and Okay, this is awesome. This is a great new start. We're building something great, and at the same time, it's a lot of overwhelming emotions.
Well, let me, on air, let me encourage you and tell you that, it does get easier in the vein that you start to realize this is now it, right? I think anyone out there that says it gets easier has completely lost their brain. But when you start to lean into it and realize that, your old life of being able to come and go as you please and, you know, just the two of you, the sooner you get to the realization that that's now gone and you lean into your role. And in your case, for those that don't know, Ryan's going to be the stay-at-home dad, right? So the sooner you lean in and say, right, I'm in the middle of a grind and, it's going to be like this for a little while. I think the sooner you grasp that, with support, of course, I'm not saying just go out and do it. I'm saying with support, um, I think it then gets easier where you just say, right, I'm in the middle of a grind. And I think that's what has helped me in my last 3 or 4 months. I'm just leaning into this. This is going to be a grind to dig ourselves out of this hole that I'm in my 3 planes that I've talked about. So that would be my encouragement to you is to say, right, this is it. I'm here. This is the next step of my life. Like, let's get on with it. It's going to be ugly. It's going to be rough. It's going to be, you know, times, but this is it, and I'm going to lean as hard as I can into my new role.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. It is. It's almost like a little bit of a mourning process, talking about like mourning that past life that's gone now, even though there's so much to look forward to in the new one. For me, it's a little bit of like that freedom is gone, and getting used to that new feeling of, hey, I've got a responsibility, and it happens to pop up every 3 hour loop, right? Is that responsibility reminding me of this is the new normal.
Yeah, and have you got any kind of support around you? I know we've talked a little bit about that behind the scenes, but walk me through a little bit of the support network that you've got. Do you feel like it's adequate? Where are we at with that?
No, not really. That's the other tough part is, Erica's aunt came to visit us last weekend, and it was great for her to be here for a few days, and she really took such great care of Erica, and Erica's been on the phone with her constantly, and just getting endless support from her, and that's great, but it also has made me realize, the lack of support that I have, especially seeing how, much she cares about Erica, and how Eric is able to lean on her, and I just don't really have that in my world, and so that's been a tough realization over the last couple of days, really ever since she left, or when she was here, even I started to get the feeling of, wow, that's great for her, and I really am glad that she has that, but at the same time, I don't have that same thing with anyone else, and it's kind of tough.
Do you find that it's that father figure type character you're kind of describing? Or is it, hey, it wouldn't matter if it was a 23-year-old? What is it you feel like you're missing?
Yeah, yeah, I think it is a little bit of that, where it's just I don't really have anyone to lean on, and in today's world, it's just you've probably experienced a little bit of this as well with social media, and everybody's just lost in their devices and electronics, and um, yeah, I've even seen it with our little, we've got a family photo stream that we've been uploading photos to, and all the family can, there's like 10 of us in the group, and everybody can see and like and comment. And it's kind of cool, but at the same time, it leads to a huge disconnection in the real world. So, like, I can see all these people liking and commenting on photos, but in the real world, in real life, there's no outreach. There's nobody reaching out and saying anything on a day-to-day basis. It's just a bunch of people liking photos on the cloud.
Yeah, and that's a really tough place to be because I know when we left California, I felt, we'd made some really good friends out there, and we've had Stretch on the show, Jamal, and at the time he had, a couple of kids. He's added a bunch more since then, but he was a great resource for me, having been through it, a great friend. But I think what was most important at that time was that he was physically there. It's all well and good to have people commenting and putting things on posts and such, but there's nothing that replaces the energy that you get from being around someone And I think it sounds to me like, I've missed that when we moved. I had to start again and make new friends. And my first year here was pretty rough. It sounds like you're going through a little bit of that because even though I was able to stay in touch with people, it just wasn't the same if you don't physically have them around. And social media really highlights that because you get a million likes on a baby photo. Baby Callan's here is like goes viral, but no one actually reaches out to you and texts you or calls you and says, "Hey man, how you holding up?" You know?
Yeah. Yeah. So that's kind of where we are right now. And, you know, like I said, things will keep progressing and get better, but we're just kind of in that little pattern right now and just getting through it.
Yeah. Do you find that you can get fueled from even like a video conversation like this or a phone call? Do you feel like that could help or would help or has helped? Or is it it's that energy, that feed off of someone in the same space, looking after you for a bit?
No, I think it helps. That's why it's always nice to have these little talks that we have and kind of weekly check-ins and that sort of thing. It's nice to have that, and because I know some people don't even have that in their world. So it's nice that we're able to catch up and chat like this.
Yeah, and I've noticed it with myself, right? I've torn my bicep 4 months ago today, I think it was, if I look at the
Really.
right calendar there. And it's just funny. I was talking to someone the other day. I've been Ubering on the side there because I can now, and it's a way to make a few bucks while my arm is recovering. And so I have a lot of conversations with a lot of strangers, and it's been quite fascinating to just hear some feedback and talk to people about struggles or what they're going through or what they've been through and how disconnected some people feel and other people feel like they've got support around them. It's a lot to go through and not really know how to help someone in a time of need. I think we've all been there where we've got a friend that's struggling, that's going through a really tough time, and they're different, right? They act different. When you're around them, they're down, they're out, they're maybe complaining, or they're just always looking for answers, or they're trying to make the conversation about themselves, And so you've always got those people in your life, and I think sometimes it can be hard to be around them because you just don't know what to say, what to do, how to help them, how to support them, And I've been guilty of that my whole life, and now I'm in that situation where I do feel like I've been exposed to a circle of friends that I would say have thinned out quite significantly over the last 4 months. And when I really sit down and think about it, it's actually quite sad. But I also think that it's helped me realize who my real true friends are as well. So it's been enlightening, but it's also tough because you reach out or you try and stay in touch, and it's just not the same. I can't do the things that I was or be as active. I can't pickleball, I can't play golf or um, get in the gym, right? So a lot of those things that you do with the guys, it goes away, and then all of a sudden it's like, what? So did some of those friendships. Some have stayed, but it's definitely thinned out. Have you found that that's happened to you a little bit?
Yeah, just in general. I mean, mostly because of the gym. A lot of my friendships or closenesses were built around the gym setting that, when I sold the gym, that kind of dissipated a little bit. And, we've kept in touch with a few people here and there. Other than that, that's where a lot of my day-to-day interactions have disappeared from is the gym stuff back in Roanoke. But yeah, I'd say I can see where you're coming from on that for sure.
So what would you recommend anyone that's listening or going through something where they feel like they're the one that maybe is in the pit or, struggling through a tough time? Have you got anything that you want to share with people to say, hey, this is how you could maybe reach out or just check in? I mean, I don't think I'm asking for anyone to come over and sit and hold my hand like I'm in a nursing home and, you know, I'm on hospice or something, you know. But what would you say to people out there that, "Oh, I don't really know what to do. Like, we used to do this together, so if I can't do that thing together, now what do I do?"
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough, right? especially when you move away, like you moved from California, I moved from Virginia most recently, and the distance makes it tough, and it's I think it's people just get lost in their own worlds, and I'm guilty of it as well, right? And I'm sure you are at times of just our own stuff takes hold of us, and it's we lose track of things, lose track of people, and it's understandable how it happens. But I think just kind of like you're so good at just reaching out and saying, "Hey, how's it going?" is something that a lot of people could put in their back pocket, and it can help everybody really.
Yeah, and I think you and I do it. I, certainly haven't done it as much as I even want to. My last few weeks of my life have been total chaos, and I'll share about more of that another time when the time is right. But I think what we find is we go through these dark times and we think we're the only one. And, I think from the very beginning when we started this podcast, we started it because we realized that everyone's going through something, whether it be a new baby, that you got to take care of, or an injury, and trying to reinvent your entire life and career, or if you're going through a marriage issue or trying to overcome addiction, right? We've got a lot of those things covered, and I think that if everyone out there was honest, I think everyone's got something that they're struggling with, and I think what I have a problem with is, when you've reached out to people, or they know what you're going through. It could be your situation, right? And you've got friends from the past that have been there and been through what you're going through. You don't hear from them, but you'll see a post or a picture or a comment on something, that says, okay, they're following along, but that's where they stop, you know. And I think social media has crippled society to the point where this is why I didn't do social media for 20 years, because you get sucked into it and you live there. And for anyone that's listening, I'm not talking to you directly. If you feel like I am, then, you know, maybe that's a raw nerve for you. But I do the same thing, right? I'm talking to me. I'm talking to you, right? I'm talking to everybody, because I might find myself checking in on my cricket, right? My favorite sport, and I might be checking in on some cricket and making time for that in the day just to turn my brain off, when, maybe there's someone out there that could just do with a text that says, hey man, thinking of you. It doesn't even have to be, hey, how are you doing? Let's get on the phone for 3 hours. It could just be, hey, I'm thinking of you, um, uh, praying for you, or, how you holding up, right? It could be just something that simple, because everyone finds time to be on social media, checking the pages and the streams and the reels and getting lost in it. Yet you're not checking in on someone that maybe is going through a tough time. It doesn't even have to be a tough time, but, I mean, you're a new dad. Right? We can't say that's, oh, he's going through a horrible time. No, but it's one of the hardest transitions of going from no kids to kids. A lot of people that have had kids say, yeah, the hardest transition is from none to one, not from two to three or three to four, right? It's like, well, I've already entered into that world of parenting, right? Once you've started, that's it. But it doesn't even have to be a horrible time you're going through. It could just be a really tough time. And I think that people would be better served if they went out of their way to stop looking at their, 100th reel that night and just fire off a, hey, how you holding up? I don't know, maybe
Yeah.
that's me venting, but I think that a lot of people out there would agree that social media has destroyed how much we actually care about people. We just want to sit and get a 10-second laugh.
Yeah. I agree. It's tough, man, but just keep on getting by, right?
Yeah, and I mean, I can sense, you're, running out of steam here a little bit, and you need that, right? So, people need to reach out, right? I mean, hit Ryan up, text him, check in on him. If you've got how old is Kellen now? 20 odd days?
Gosh, today is 24 days.
I mean, you're 24 days into your life being flipped upside down, right? For anyone that's been there and done it and remembers it and can lend him a hand, I mean, me included, right? But it takes more than one. And I think as a community that we're trying to build, I think we need to do that. Anyone that's been through a life-changing situation from an injury, hit me up, right? I mean, I could do with some encouragement. You think have all the answers, but we've been so vulnerable on this show that I think people unless they see us, crying like episodes 1 and 2, or, not so much you, but, holding it together, but just barely. It's like, oh, he's doing all right. He's 4 months in. I see him driving around now. He's up and he's moving. It's like, absolutely not. If if this shoulder's frozen for the next 18 months, it changes who I am as a dad. It changes who I am as a husband. It changes who I am as an employee. I mean, it's completely flipped my life upside down. But because people see me out, or, run into your Publix, or see me driving past, Ubering someone, it's like, or scratching my ear, oh, he's fine. His hand works. Like, no, I can't go much higher than that. So how do I get stuff off the top shelf in the cupboard? Or how do I reach behind me in the car to get something? Or how do I play with my kids like I used to in wrestle? Or how do I do stuff in the pool? I can't even ride a bike and take them for bike rides now. All these things that people just, they overlook. Oh, he's fine. Like, no, I'm not. It's the toughest time of my life. It's the most challenging phase of my life, and it's a bottleneck of trying to make big decisions. And I've reached out to a few people, and a few people I haven't even heard back from. And it's just shocking. So, I'm calling everybody out, and I'm calling myself out. Check in on some people, right? Because if we truly believe everyone's going through something, then check in on your friends, right? Even if they're not doing a podcast and sharing their world, something's going on in their life where they could benefit from just knowing that instead of watching one more reel, you typed a text to them that said, hey, I'm thinking of you. That to me would mean the world. And it's just been vacant. I think it would probably help even you, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Good stuff, man.
Well, we need help, everybody. And I think everybody needs help. So, I can tell you're running out of steam there, and I'm calling out on the community to reach out, check in on us, and not just us, everybody. I know I've had some really rough times lately, and I haven't always handled it well. Just like a baby Callan, you don't abandon that kid because he's having a hard time or crying, right? What do? You pick him up, check
Yeah.
in on him, right? Has he got a crappy nappy? Is he hungry? Is his, swaddled, cord on his neck or something? Like, let's check in on him. He's not crying or having a hard time because he wants to annoy everyone around him. He's crying and he's reaching out for help. And I think as guys, we do a really poor job of asking for help, and so we act out. We behave in a certain way, and people look at it or hear about it, or maybe they watch the podcast or they listen to it, and they're like, I wouldn't know what to say. It's like you're trying to tell me you've never been through a tough time, right? Just reach out, right? Throw a line, or put the social media down and go through your list. I'm sure you've got a brother or a sister or a mum or a dad or a daughter or a son. Everyone's got someone in their life, a work colleague. Everyone has someone in their life that could do with a text from you right now or a call. And if you're the one getting the call, don't monopolize their time. All right, make it a two-way conversation. But if you're the one making the call, then make time, right? Make time for your friends and your family, because nobody cares about your social media 1,000 likes that you just put out there that you're making time for. Reach out to someone that's struggling, going through a rough time, that probably doesn't know how to handle it. And I'm putting I'm petitioning the community, because I know guys like you usually shut down, as you've already admitted. But let's find a way, guys. Community, guys, girls, everyone. I'm not just saying guys, but women need it too. I think women are better at it than guys. But
Yeah.
let's get something going here where we make an effort. Somebody said something to me not that long ago, and they said, this is why there's more suicides for men. And it really struck home. And as I think about it even now, I'm like, man, it does. It makes sense, because guys just don't develop that community. They don't reach out. They don't want to be vulnerable. They don't want to share. They don't want to ask someone how you're doing. Women do it all the time. Well, they're better at it, I should say. I think this is why the suicide rate for guys is much higher, because we get to a point where we say nobody cares. I'm not reaching out. Nobody's reaching out. I don't have what I need. So the fastest way to relief is just to, come up with a way to get out. And that's really sad. So my encouragement to everybody out there is hit someone up, just a text. You'd be surprised what it can do to their energy levels, motivation levels. And, it doesn't have to be on a podcast, of course, but check in on someone, see how they're doing. And if you don't like how they're handling it, well, that's because they're struggling, right? If they're shutting down, okay, that's all they know. They're not doing it intentionally. If they're over the top, that's because that's just all they know. They're not doing it intentionally. They're just struggling, For what it's worth, let's build that community. I want to see that group growing, and for those that have checked in on me and that are doing a great job and firing that stuff off. Ryan, obviously you're a huge part of that community for me. For those that are outside of Ryan, I do thank you. I do appreciate you. And I do appreciate you making the effort to not scroll one more video or click on one more like, but you've actually said, let me check in on that. So thank you to those that have done it. Some are awesome at it, and some that don't know how. Okay, figure it out, because we all need each other. So to you, Ryan, hang in there, man. I know you're struggling right now. I can see it, sense it, and of course I knew before we got on anyway. So hang in there, and I'll do my absolute best to not let my stuff overwhelm me, where I don't check in on you on a very regular basis.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it. Thank you guys for listening. Appreciate you tuning in for another week, and yeah, we're excited to get back after it next.
We're going to have a guest on and hear about some other stuff where people have overcome. So in the meantime, we try and build it, like, subscribe, do all the fun stuff. Ryan always does the stuff on the backside, so he's always the one that puts this together. So shout out to him for editing all this and getting these up live for you to listen to and watch. And again, Ryan, I appreciate the work you're putting in, outside of this. So thanks again, brother.
You got it. All right, guys, we'll see you next time.
See ya.